Hi, this is Shannon here. I wanted to do some basics with our Zoom meetings. The first thing I want to start with, um, if we are going to create the Zoom invite, we can go to schedule meeting. Um, you can change the name, give a description, change times, and so forth. I like to do recurring meetings if it's something I'm going to do a lot, such as the coffee and kids story time. I leave videos off for both myself and the participants. That way, people can kind of get themselves together if they're not quite there. I don't want to surprise anybody. And then I want to pick both audio from the telephone and the computer audio, just in case. Um, a good one is if you're doing a large group, mute participants upon entry. If you don't want them to speak, unless if you do, then you don't have to do that. You can automatically record the meeting and so forth. If we go back, I already have some here. So I can go to this, and if I want to send an invite, I would hit Outlook calendar, and then I would open that up. I obviously sent out a few there. And then I'm going to invite people. I like to give them 5 to 10 minutes. Often people give you 15. For me, I would get distracted and wander off, so I do 5 or 10 for myself. You can drop anything you want into this space. So if you have an agenda or something else, you can add things to this to send out. And then once you have it on your calendar, once you hit send, it's going to save it to your calendar. I personally like to color code mine, but for some reason, since I got an NPC, the Outlook won't let me color code these, so I would do different colors for different kinds of meetings and so forth. You always want to do a reminder on those, and you always want to make it so that they can accept it, because once they get it, if we go back into my, so this was one, and see, I accepted this already, but there'll be a box right here that says accept. Now, I'm going to just start this meeting. Obviously, that's not actually story time. But once we go in, audio. Now, a little thing I've noticed is that if I logged into Zoom during the day, my picture's there. If I haven't logged into Zoom, then it just has my name. So if you want your picture, sometimes you have to log into Zoom. I'm going to mute myself on there. So you can do a few things here. You can't obviously record it. There's security options where you can allow people to share the screen. That's always nice. You can jump in and make a waiting room if you're having issues. There are some cases where people are just jumping into Zoom meetings randomly, so that's why there's a lot of more security nowadays. You can see who's participating. I can mute everyone from here. I can invite other people. I don't use very many of these. You can let them do these things or not. Another thing that you, when you're doing this, I personally like to do desktop. I know there's nothing on my screen that people can't see. There's been cases where someone was looking at porn at work, not at the college, but in the world, and they shared their screen or they recorded their screen and it showed the tabs. So just, as long as you have nothing bad open, I like to do desktops. And the reason I do desktop is because if you're showing something, which is we often are, we're showing someone something, especially if you're showing a student, the pop-ups, like if you're in the catalog and you click on hold, that pop-up window won't show up on the screen if you just pick the browser that you're in. So that's why I use desktop almost always. That's very helpful. When you're in the meeting, you have reactions here. If you like what somebody says, you can clap. If you agree, thumbs up. If you love it, obviously the heart. You can laugh, be surprised. Um, Ta-da. I don't ever use that one. The other thing that's really helpful to use is the raise hand. So again, I went to reaction on the screen and I hit raise hand and then my hand is up. So when you're in a meeting, especially the large group meetings, that's how you're supposed to let the group know that you'd like to speak. That'll be open, and then the facilitator, the moderator, like Paul, if he's running it, or Cassie, if she's running, whoever's running the meeting, they will then call on you once your hand is up, and then you can then lower your hand. Some people don't know how to lower it. That's how you lower it. You just click it again. And then, so you wait until they call on you. It's considered bad etiquette to just pop, your screen on and just start talking, la 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 la. That would be bad, especially in these large groups or in webinars. For example, like the training in April that we're going to do with EOS. A lot of, I was looking for videos that would talk about some of these things, and a lot of them say, don't multitask, don't check your email. Obviously, if you're in an all-campus meeting, there's no reason why you can't check your email. But if you're in a small group, if you're in a little committee and there's 5 people, that's when you want to really pay attention. We tend to, and people say leave your video on. Now, because of our limited bandwidth, it is perfectly reasonable to turn your camera off because it does help if you're having trouble. Oftentimes my internet will tell me it'll come up and say your internet is unstable. So when that happens, I always click the video off. And sometimes if I've been having trouble with my internet, I will click the video off in the beginning because I know that if I do that, I'll have an easier time in the meeting. And it's distracting. You get a little stressed out when it says that. I had that in book club, the last book club. My internet became unstable, and I think it actually kicked me out, right? So I made somebody else the co-host. You can do that. I think it's in here that you make them co-host. I forget. Sorry. I forget where you do that. Let's see what else. There was a case with one of the justices on the Supreme Court. He was using the toilet while he was in a Zoom meeting. It's not great etiquette to go to the bathroom, but we all have to go to the bathroom. I mean, if you're in marathon meetings all day, just make sure your video's off and you're muted. He's an older gentleman. I'm sure that he just really had to go to the bathroom. So it's not great etiquette, but it's better than the alternative, right? Also, they say keep the noise down, but your cat's gonna run behind the couch. It's gonna happen. I have my kids here. I'm one of the few people at the college with kids, really small kids anyways. And they make noise. And so sometimes it's going to happen. I was telling someone this the other day, I was in a meeting right when the pandemic hit. I was in Iowa, and a person that I'd had a little bit of issues with at the college, she was leading, it was in a meeting with all the upper administrators. They were explaining to the lower administrators stuff, and so she was telling us about her position and what they were doing. And her daughter, who was probably 8 at the time, she busted into the room and she said, spell Valentine's Day. And the woman was like, no, just go away. And the girl would not go away, and apparently there was no one else around to help, and so she spelled it, and the little girl said, no, the other spelling. It was just mortifying, and I felt so bad for her, but realistically, what was she going to do? I'm sure she told the child to stay out of the room, and there probably, there was no other adults, so they were, maybe they were in a meeting too. So that's what my husband and I, we both have meetings at the same time, and we had a 3-year-old and a infant. So if your cat runs across the screen, it's gonna happen. Laugh it off. Don't make a big deal about it. What else? I think that's probably it. Just try to have your image there. If you go into a meeting and it doesn't have your name, you can this was my meeting. You can click on your own name in the meeting, and I don't remember where to do it. I made it big. And then you can change your name once you get into the meeting. It's usually at the top. Here. So you want to make sure your name is there. And actually, if you are in one with like a large group of people from other places, it would be helpful for you to put NPC as well with your name. That way they know what institution you're representing, assuming you're representing as well. So those are some good basic tips on doing the virtual meetings. Let me know if you have any questions.